Сдавайся! Погнали!
I'm Patrick Lancaster, and there's intense combat going on right now on the front line of the Russian-Ukraine war. I have been showing you the combat on the ground on the Russian positions. In fact, I'm, if not the only foreign English-speaking journalist showing you the combat in the Russian positions. I've done it more than the others for sure, because it doesn't fit the Western mainstream media. I give you a choice to see things on the Russian side of the front line, not just Ukrainian side. But by all means, you need to see information from both sides. I don't so often get a chance to show you information or actions that are going on the Ukrainian side with the Ukrainian soldiers, but got a unique opportunity right now. Here we've got some special footage of Ukrainian forces fighting an intense battle. Now, in fact, this is a Ukrainian army infantry squad that has been held down and cornered basically by Russian drone attacks, artillery, and other, even it appears small arms attacks. So we're going to watch this footage, go through it. It's really intense. I've already seen it, so it's not going to be my first reaction. I've seen it once, but it is some of the most intense footage that I have seen. And I wanted to share it with you because I think you could get something out of it. You know, I've shown you so much combat on the Russian side. Wanted you to see what's happening on the Ukrainian side, how they are cornered by the Russian troops here. It's not clear exactly where this is taking place, but it does seem to be new footage that's been taken in the last couple of days. And just to set the scene, it appears there's this infantry group, Ukrainian army, that's been basically cornered, as I said, by Russian forces. What is reportedly to be a Dutch YPR-765 armored personnel carrier has come to pick them up and evacuate them. And this is where we start the video, and you'll see just the utter chaos that ensues. And I'm gonna watch it with you and narrate a bit on with my experiences in combat, how we're just narrate a bit of what's actually happening. Now let's get into it. All right, so here comes the Dutch armored personnel carrier in this wasteland of combat. So now, I mean, you saw the explosions, the small arms. And what's happening right now is they're doing a rotation. See the other soldiers with the blue armbands, which signifies friend or foe Ukrainian, they got out. And now their other soldiers are getting into the vehicle. Well, you see the explosions. And this is one of the most dangerous parts of being on the front line, is the trips in and out. I mean, regardless if it's a soldier or a journalist, this is when you're at most vulnerable because you don't have the protection of the position and you're just on the road. I mean, they're not even on the road yet and they're totally vulnerable. And now they realize they're stuck. They say, give it gas, give it gas. I mean, can you imagine being shot at and then you got to get in and then you got to get back out? So, yeah, I mean, just take what's yours and go, go, go. I mean, can you imagine all these people are thinking right now, am I about to die? Am I going to be dead in the next second? Oh, and you can, oh. Just utter chaos. And most of these are probably mobilized soldiers, drafted soldiers from the Ukraine army, or in the Ukraine army. Injured. It says put on a tourniquet, injured. Broken elbow, broken legs.
Віра на зв'язку, борт важкий 300.
Wounded.
М-ка не їде, там щось наїбнулось. Ну, вся історія.
It's just saying, help, help. Imagine. I mean, regardless what side of the conflict you favor, I mean, this is just intense combat. I mean, this information needs to be seen on both sides, not just one. I mean, Russian forces are just decimating this group of Ukrainian soldiers. That was close.
Все, нога, блядь, пацаны. Все.
Я все, братан.
And he's just taking his fate. He says, I'm done. I'm dead.
Братан, не
He said he won't crawl. He's just showing how he's dead. He's admitting defeat and admitting he's done. But his friends are trying to get him to safety. Says he'll come back for him. Really? Don't even think about blowing yourself up, because that's something that's fairly common. Is you know, when the soldiers are done. I mean, regardless of what side of what war, I mean, it's seen over and over again. The soldiers, they all carry one grenade, and that's standard. Not necessarily for hitting the enemy, but for ending it yourself, so you're not taken a captive, or you know, not just gonna have a slow death. I mean, you know, it's done on every side of every war. I mean, it's something that's seen in history. Horrible fighting. War is horrible. People dying on every side of every conflict, whether civilians or soldiers, is horrible. And think about these soldiers here. Maybe all of them were taken off the streets of Kiev and other cities in Ukraine and forced to go fight in this fight. They were mobilized. I mean, complete mobilization of Ukraine. They take all the men. The men are done in Ukraine. They're taking them all of fighting age. And they're even trying to lower the age again of the drafting and the mobilization. I mean, can you just imagine getting taken off the street at force? I mean, we can look at some of the videos now of just what they're called the kidnapping of Ukrainian men off the street. I mean, not one off, not two off. I mean, if you've been under a rock, you haven't seen these videos before, but just over and over and over every single day, these recruitment officers are going through the streets of the cities and the villages, hunting for Ukrainian men to abduct, basically, and force into combat, force into the front line, and most of them don't come back. And their families don't even get anything for this, any help, because they're reported missing. Horrible, horrible time. Hopefully the war ends soon. I mean, war is shit. But it's not looking like it's going to end anytime soon. Because on one hand, you've got an area that Russian law considers part of Russia. And that's Zaporozhye, Kherson, Donetsk, and Lugansk regions. That regardless if you favor or not, I keep saying this, Russian law and constitution says it's part of Russia. The Russian constitution says no one can give up part of Russia. So the Russian constitution says Putin can't give up these territories. The constitution would have to change for the war to stop unless Russia controls these territories. That's what this all negotiations and Trump and all these coming to the table. Let's really talk and let's make a deal. What kind of deal is there going to be made? Is part of the deal going to be changing the Russian constitution? I think it's a lot more likely the Ukrainian constitution is going to be changed, or something's going to happen on the Ukrainian side to have them make the move and give up the territory. Well, I said give up the territory, just remove their forces from the parts of Zaporozhye and Kherson and a little bit of Donetsk areas that still have Ukrainian troops. In fact, Lugansk is all controlled by Russian forces now. So when's the war going to end? I'm not sure. But let's look at a little different footage. Not necessarily people dying, but someone trying to kill someone else. Now, drone footage has just, drone attacks, kamikaze attacks, have become a huge part of the war. Basically, the most intense and most used weapon in the war, the drones overhead, and the kamikaze drones hunting soldiers. In some cases, unfortunately, Ukrainian kamikazes hunting civilians. I've documented, it's in my reports, not my words. You know, I've showed you an elderly man that took a Ukrainian kamikaze drone to the side of the head. You know, it is what they do. It happens. So these kamikaze drones are used to hunt and attack soldiers on both sides. In here we can see some kamikaze drones hitting Ukrainian soldiers. Russian kamikaze drones hitting Ukrainian soldiers and Ukrainian equipment. This is just how it's done. It's the most effective and used weapon of the war right now. And these are drones from miles and miles and miles away. Operators are controlling with goggles on, flying them into their target. And sometimes they could be jammed, but now one of the biggest used type of drones is the fiber-optic drones, which have these cables that the drones are controlled by. The jammers won't even affect them because all the information goes through these cables that look like fishing line. And they're used so much in certain places, they cover the fields, cover the roads. I mean, so these are the most lethal, I believe, weapons of the war, most used. But sometimes they don't land on their mark. And I want to have a look at this video where we see a Russian soldier that was attacked by 7 drones. Let's have a look. All right, we can see the soldier taking the first explosion, or well, dodging the first explosion. And here comes the second drone. Really close. 2 in a row, really close. Is he down? Nope, he's up. Shaken, but up. Now, this is a Russian soldier. Here comes the third and the fourth drone. Third, almost direct hit, but still up somehow. Or, well, moving so far. Looks like he lost the fourth one. Maybe it was a fiber optic and the cable got cut and it got lost. So that was 4. Here comes number 5 and 6. Now, he's going around this tree because even a twig can make one of these drones explode because they've got sensors on them. So he can use that tree. There's 5. You can use 6. Use that tree as cover because the drone... I guess that was 7 actually. But point is, that tree can easily be used as cover because these drones can't go through a tree like a bullet, even though it's just, you know, a little bush that can be seen through. So he can use the tree to kind of go around it and dodge. But that drone comes and just hits one of those twigs, it explodes. So you see how intense it is on the street. I've had to dodge these drones before. I've shown you in my reports. I thought I was going to die from these drones. I mean, it sucks having the mental pressure on you walking through these fields and just looking up like, what the fuck? When am I going to have a drone come up my ass? I mean, this is just... I mean, it is such a literal mind fuck to be under threat by these drones. I mean, and think about 7 overhead. But somehow this Russian soldier made it through this field using a couple of bushes to get away. And here we can even see, you can see that there was an armored carrier that was exploded in the same field. So, I mean, is it luck? Is it intelligence? Is it skill, experience? Probably a little bit of everything to be able to survive when you're being attacked by these drones. But it's intense. I mean, it's intense being in combat because 11 years ago when I started covering this war, because it didn't start 3 years ago, it started 11 years ago, 2014. When I started showing this war, there was no drones like this. It wasn't, I mean, even though the front line was just like 5 miles from the center of Donetsk, Donetsk under attack constantly, myself and everyone else knew, okay, the threat is that way. Ukraine shells the center of the city from that direction. Well, if it was in the center, where, positions, whatever. We know the threat's that way. So if I stand and walk along this wall in a certain way with my body facing this way and the threats in a certain direction, angled to a stone or a tree or some sort of cover, you know, you have a better chance of living. But with these drones, you're standing there. It could come from this way. It could come from this way. You could be up against this wall and it comes this way or comes around and just says hello and then bam, you're dead. So, I mean, war has changed so much. And it's not like 10 years ago and now it's changed so much. Every year it's changing. How it was 3 years ago, 2022, it's changed so much since then. And next year it'll be even crazier. I mean, probably next year they're starting to come out now, but maybe next year will be more common, the artificial intelligence attack bots. So how far is that going to go? Skynet style? We'll see. But now I want to get into another video we've got of a armored evacuation robot of the Ukrainian forces. I want you to comment below what you think of it. I've got some interesting thoughts on it, what it appears to be, what it is. Let's get into it. All right, so what we've got here is a robot, remote-controlled car, remote-controlled barbecue pit. Well, it's supposed to be an evacuation vehicle, armored evacuation vehicle, but it's basically a cast iron box on wheels that's remote controlled. Does it resemble a coffin on wheels? How effective would this really be? So you've got the top of it that's looks like cast iron doors, and then rubber wheels underneath. It'd be interesting to see this in action, and interesting to see if the Russian side has a variant of this vehicle. I've seen many remote-controlled evacuation vehicles, supply vehicles on the Russian side. Never one quite like this. I'm not really sure about this. Can you comment below what you think about this? You think this could be effective, or do you just think it's a moving target? I'm going to reserve judgments so far, see if there's any other footage of it actually in action, but appears to be just a coffin on wheels, but maybe it'll function the way they're explaining. Be interesting to see more information. But I guess for now, I hope you got something out of this. As I said, not often I'm able to show you things from the Ukrainian side because, you know, I'm where I am, and it's not realistic in today's day and age. If, regardless what war, what side, for a journalist to work in a controlled area of a certain side, you know, as I said, whatever side, I mean, for an extended period of time and then bounce back and forth. Because, I mean, you don't see journalists in Ukraine working on the front line for days, months, years, and then coming over to the Russian side. Now, is that because they can't or because they won't? Does it fit their narrative? You think about it, you decide. But, obviously, if I'd go to the Ukrainian side to make reports, they wouldn't allow that to happen. Let's just put it like that. You can comment below what you'd think would happen if I went to the Ukrainian side to make reports. But as I always say, get as much information from every side of every conflict, every situation in your life, not just war, not just news, but even if you have disagreements with people, think about things from their side, because everybody thinks they're right. Nobody thinks they're doing the wrong thing. Everybody thinks they're doing the good thing. So think about that. Everything's in the eye of the beholder, as my grandpa always used to tell me. Think about that. When you're having your day-to-day life, think about what the other person or other group is thinking and how you might be able to come together and reduce conflict. And we hope this conflict gets reduced, as all others. War sucks, as I always say. So we've got a lot more to come. Soon I'm going to the point of zero. Bring you more frontline combat action from Russian combat positions. Please like, share, subscribe. Remember, I can only do this with your support, so you can support my work with the link on the screen or in the description. Don't forget to comment below and like and subscribe and share, okay? Got so much to come. Show the world together what they're not going to see in other places.